Hello everyone. Welcome back to Dragon Quest Swords. Why am I saying welcome back, even though you probably haven't seen me play this game before? I have to say welcome back because I've returned to this game so many times by now. I did a Let's Play in 2015. I did, I think, a second Let's Play in 2017 of the Payback mode of the game, which is where you basically play with an extremely overpowered sword called the Deathbringer. It's Xiphos' sword. And then I did a livestream playthrough of it. And now I'm back again. So, the livestream playthrough was a long time though. That was back in 2020, I think? Perhaps even 2019. It was like 2019, 2020, something like that. So it has been some time. This is technically only the second time that I've live-streamed the game. I am actually recording the Wii itself. It was a little bit odd to go through the whole setup process of just, getting my analog connection into OBS and all of that. I'll tell you what, I don't miss the setup process, but because obviously it's a lot more simple when I'm recording other things these days, but when I'm setting up the Wii like this, it's definitely a procedure, but it's alright, I enjoy it. Beverage today is apera, or apera, I don't really know how to pronounce it. It's sherry, but it's what we have to call it in Australia if it's manufactured in a country that's not Spain. So, there you have it. It's basically sherry, long story short. Now, a question you may have is, why do I keep returning to this game? Doomlink, why do you keep coming back to this game? The reason why is because it scratches a very particular itch of mine, because it's so different to all of the other games that I play. It is a first-person RPG, where you've got your Wii remote. As you can see, I've got my gold Skyward Sword Wii remote here. You're just swinging it at the TV, and instead of actually looking at a sword, your swings just come up as strokes across the screen. I don't know if any other games have done this, either before or since. There may have been similar things to that, but perhaps not with the interactive nature of the Wii remote on a Nintendo Wii. So, I actually don't know how unique this is, but what I can tell you is that it's the only game of its kind that I have played. And when it comes to replaying games over a period of time, for me it always comes down to what is going to scratch that itch. Yeah, Fruit Ninja, that's true. Yeah, imagine Fruit Ninja, but a few years before Fruit Ninja. Probably 2 or 3 years before Fruit Ninja. I don't know precisely when that mobile game came out. I'm going to say around 2010, 2011. It got really big in 2011, I remember. This game is from 2008. So, essentially, imagine Fruit Ninja, but an RPG. That should actually excite you, because that sounds pretty cool, and it is pretty cool. When it comes to returning to games, it's all about scratching a particular itch, at least for me. So, that's why I play very distinct and very specific games. So, if I want to play Monster Hunter, I'll play that. If I want to play Zelda, I'll play that. If I want to play Souls, I'll play that. Each of those games scratches a very distinct itch. This scratches a completely different itch to all of those things, because it is, as I say, very specific and rather different. Let's load into it. Apparently Fruit Ninja is 2010. Because it exploded in 2011, so I just sort of thought, well, maybe it had been around for about a year up until that point. The popularity of it would have definitely been affected by everyone getting smartphones, because it was around 2010, 2011, when people actually started to get smartphones en masse. Well, as in what we would refer to as a smartphone these days. I was playing that game on my iPhone 3GS. Bit of a different device to what you get these days. As for the game volume, I reckon I can jack it up a bit. The very distinctive art style of Akira Toriyama, or Toriyama Akira, however you want to say it. Probably the latter would be the correct way. Rest in peace to that man, of course. And here we go. The Dragon Quest Swords, the Masked Queen, and the Tower of Mirrors. It is one of the longest names for a video game that I've ever played. And you would be quite right in just dropping that extra bit when referring to this game. When you say the words Dragon Quest Swords, people are going to know what you mean. When people want to search the game, they're not going to get the wrong result by neglecting to add the Masked Queen in the Tower of Mirrors. Don't you think this is a nice game? Look at the... It's like made of glass. The buttons are made of glass, and the sound effects when you hover over these things, you'd take it for granted, or at least I did at the time, but this sort of UI, this sort of design, the interactive nature of it, it's such a specific time in video gaming history, and I'm sure it'll all come around again, but it's not like that anymore. It's just not. I don't really want to put on the rose-tinted glasses and start saying that things are just worse these days, but they kind of are, aren't they? There's something really quite meaningful about this, I'm not sure. If I go to continue your adventure, you'll be able to see all of my different game logs. So this is my 2015 Let's Play, that's my 2017 Let's Play. It's called Death, as in Deathbringer, the sword. And that's my livestream series that I did back in 2019, 2020, whenever that was. Come to think of it, I probably could have waited until it was exactly 10 years since I did my first Let's Play of this game, but as I say, I think I had a bit of an itch to scratch, so here I am. Well, as I say, P-Berry, it's return to Dragon Quest Swords. I've very much been here before. You get a lot of save files, and thank God for that. I think you get 10, no? Oh, it just keeps going and it goes all the way up to 16 save files. That's incredible. And do you know what? This game has a sort of replayability that makes it acceptable to have this many save files. I wasn't expecting 16, to be honest with you. I had no recollection of there being that many. That's really funny. So, just to explain how this game plays as a Wii game, it does not actually make use of the nunchuck. You'll see that I am obviously using the motion controls of the Wii, but there is no nunchuck attached. It's because I have no need for it. Everything is controlled with just the Wiimote. Your D-pad is going to control your movements, and obviously you can make selections with A, and I'm sure B is used for various things. Can't really remember off the top of my head. I can't really explain all of the details of the controls because I'm going to recall them as I actually play the game. But, yeah, much of your movement is going to be covered by just the D-pad, and while that sounds a little restrictive, I can assure you, you don't need a nunchuck for this game. It's all in here, you know. I actually floated the idea in my own mind of doing a stand-up recording for this. What does that mean? Doomlin's going to do, like, stand-up comedy? No. What I mean by that is I was actually going to stand and do it. My original Skyward Sword Let's Play was actually done standing up. It's not on YouTube anymore because the audio standards were so down market. I mean, I had this microphone really far away from me because I didn't really want it in shot. And then I was like, well, no, that's terrible, so I brought it a little bit closer, and it still wasn't great. I just didn't really want to have the microphone close to me while standing up. But it's quite funny, I ended up looking like a sign language interpreter. I almost wanted to do that again for this game here, but you see, because it doesn't require the nunchuck, it's actually much more comfortable to rest your arm on, like, the arm of a chair, which is what I'm doing now. Much better to play the game that way. If I'm playing Skyward Sword, however, that's on another level of interactiveness. Interactivity? I don't think that's a word. At least not in the way I'm trying to use it. But anyway, let's continue my adventure. No, I'm sorry. That's what I did before. I'm not continuing. I'm creating a new adventure log. I'm just going to name this one, at least so that it's distinct from the rest. I'm just going to name it Link. Let's go down to lowercase. It's in alphabetical order, which is acceptable because it's not coming up as, like, one page of letters. If I get a whole page of letters and it's in alphabetical order instead of QWERTY, I will completely lose my shit. I will not be able to function like a normal human being. You need to specify your handedness. I'm right-handed. I also want to say that in terms of the language that's used in this game, like the level of English that's used, particularly with characters such as Anlas, very influential for me in my upbringing. Obviously, I used to read a lot. Like, for instance, I grew up reading Tolkien, so I was always introduced to a level of English that some weren't necessarily engaged with, but, you know, as far as video games concerned, the language used here is definitely sort of a genesis of me, I guess, having a having an attraction to the English language. So what they're doing here is they're giving me the option to start the game with Deathbringer, that really overpowered sword that I mentioned. That's a sword that you can only get when you have completed the game once. As soon as you've completed the game once, it'll give you that option for every single save file that you make. I'm not going to do that this time around. I will actually, for this entire livestream series, by the way, do the game once, and then again with the Deathbringer. I haven't actually done a livestream with the Deathbringer yet, and the reason why is because I don't want to have this particular occasion where I'm recording the game, which is probably going to be rather introductory for most of you watching. It spoils it a little bit if I'm using a super overpowered sword. It doesn't trivialize the game. It's actually quite fun to use, but it's not good as a first showcasing of the game, because I suspect that given that it's been a number of years, most of you watching me haven't seen it before, so I'd prefer to not use the super overpowered weapon, but I will use it again once I have completed the game with the normal swords. With the normal weaponry. There's going to be a long introductory portion of the game, by the way.
I remember only that I found it so frightening. But from where did this memory come? Already 5 years had passed since the defeat of Xiphos, the bringer of death.
I'm just raising the volume of the game so I don't get any bleed from the microphone, or into the microphone from the speakers.
That had little meaning. Avalonia was holding a fete to celebrate its 5th year of liberty.
Feels like it's been a long time since I've seen this. It's interesting to see it with fresh eyes. It's both familiar and unfamiliar at the same time.
They think it's all over. It is now. And the winner is Swordmaster Dow.
This is one of the more ridiculous voice acting examples. He's got an interesting accent. It's quite regional, as you can tell.
The passage of time has not dulled my blade or my skills.
What I would say is the Dragon Quest Swords as a game to watch starts off slow. So it's very story focused for the, I'd say, first 30 minutes or so. There's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of setting the scene for the player, which is completely acceptable for an RPG. But when you're trying to, I guess, introduce the game to people watching it, it can be a little bit slow because there's not much interactivity is what I was saying, or what I'm trying to say.
Are there no others? No more young heroes willing to challenge an old man?
My Wii is making some extraordinary sounds as it's loading this disc. It wasn't always this loud,
The son
but it's
of
getting
an
older, you know.
accomplished pupil, Claymore, I believe. So, are you ready to try your hand against your father's master?
Cool, blimey! An invite from Swordmaster Dow himself!
He's a bit English, isn't he?
He's only gone and challenged Claymore's son. Claymore being one of the famous warriors what defeated Xiphos, the Deathbringer!
I really enjoy that they write it out phonetically. It's precisely as he pronounces things. Deathbringer.
And what's more, he was a pupil of Swordmaster Dow too! Goddess only knows what kind of match we're in for here!
I have been speaking with your father. Tomorrow will be your 16th birthday, I hear. When a young man of our land comes of age, he must undertake the Walk of the Worthy. It is tradition.
It makes me wonder if it's a coincidence that you have 16 save files while the story takes place on the main character's 16th birthday. Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't think it is. I really don't. It's not a very exciting tie-in, but it's not an entirely random number. I accidentally skipped him there. He said that he's going to instruct me on the use of the sword. Here we go. First, brandish your sword. Feel its weight and balance. Swing the Wii Remote. This is, I have to say, this is extraordinarily dangerous when you've got drinks here. There is always a temptation to, for the most part, use your wrist when playing this game. Keep in mind it's full motion controls when you're actually in combat. So you are holding this thing and swinging it around. Now, the more you use your arm rather than your wrist, there's always the temptation to keep your arm in a comfortable position, like resting on the arm of a chair, for example, and then just use your wrist. But the thing is, the direction that you're swinging in will be less accurate, at least as far as the sensor bar is concerned. So, yeah, it's not that easy though, because I've got a microphone here, I've got a beverage. It's just, for recording purposes, it can be a little bit difficult, but yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have experienced difficulty when it comes to swinging accuracy, because believe it or not, whether you're doing a horizontal or a diagonal or a thrust, accuracy does matter. So I've encountered in the past where I've been using the wrist too much, like keeping my arm stationary but allowing my wrist to do all the movements. I've actually had issues in the past, so that is the solution. Move your arm a bit more, raise it up and just do very deliberate and emotive strokes with the arm. That is the solution. Next, you must face me and choose a focal point for your attacks. Fucking headshot, man. Well, that was my attempt at a headshot. Alright. As you can see, you can either swing freely, or you can set a focal point, as was just described. So your focal point, as you would suspect, is going to mark precisely where your sword will reach its mark. You can, of course, attack without setting a focal point. At such times, you will naturally focus your attacks on a point directly in front of you, so you can assume that it is making contact with the very center of the screen. Under those circumstances. When swinging your sword, you must grip it with your thumb uppermost, relative to the ground at all times. They're meaning to keep it here, with your thumb up, and then, yeah. It's a very articulate way of describing them. And they do have a visual representation here. They're saying not to angle the Wii Remote. It needs to be flat and like that at all times. If it does tilt like it's being demonstrated here, it will still work, it's just less accurate. And you're going to have noticeably worse results. If your grip is incorrect, or if you change it mid-swing, your attacks will not strike true. That's their way of saying it's not going to be as accurate. So here you go, there's the side-by-side. As you can see, the correct way to do it is to keep the Wii Remote in that position and then move it like so. I really did take these things for granted in the past, but God, this is so different to anything else, isn't it? Like anything that you would do today. This is such a... I mean, it feels in some ways a bit anachronistic, but it's also very specifically... like it's part of an era that's no longer here. I don't know if you guys are getting that feeling when you watch this. This is all gone now. This doesn't exist. The Wii is a thing of the past. And motion controls in video games are also a thing of the past. So, there you go. You must swing horizontally, vertically, and diagonally with your thumb uppermost at all times. Good. Now we shall practice the cardinal forms of attack. Swing your sword as I direct you. First. Now on to the next. Hello, AJ. AJ always used two hands to hold the remote when he played this game. That's quite amazing that you've played this game, AJ. I mean, don't know what it is about you. You seem to play all the games that I enjoy. Or at least it feels that way. Wasn't expecting that one. Your Wii is on its deathbed. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. Of course, you tend not to realize how your consoles are faring until you actually boot them up. My Wii's doing okay. I noticed two things. When it's loading discs now, it's much louder than it used to be. And also, the sound that the disk drive makes when you're inserting and ejecting discs is at a different pitch to what it used to be. It's much lower, like a lower pitch to what it used to be, which tells me it's slowly dying. Of course, when it comes to a console, your disk drive or the motor that powers it is usually something that will die first. It is the most significant wear part on a console. Obviously, the consoles that didn't have any moving parts were the ones that lasted the best. But that was... As far as Nintendo consoles, the last one of those was, I think, the Nintendo 64, so... GameCube and onwards... Yeah. More prone to failure, but, you know, touch wood, my consoles have done really well. They've done really well. Now, on to the next. Horizontal slash. See, I'm scared that I'm going to do a horizontal slash and just knock my glass clean off my table. Anyway. Drink in one hand and sword in the other. Now that's cool. It's actually the safest way to approach things, because at least when I've got this in my hand, I don't have to worry about knocking it off the table. I can't really remember how I approached it when I was live streaming last time, but I think it was very much off to the side. My glass is closer to my sitting position now than it was back then, so yeah. The next form is a little more difficult. Diagonal slash. Next we shall practice the forward thrust. Now this is the one that I've always had the most trouble with, and I think the reason why is because I do often angle the Wii Remote at least slightly. If you are holding the Wii Remote perfectly flat, and you're very, very deliberate with your movement, you should be able to get the thrust fairly consistently. But as I can describe it to you, that doesn't necessarily mean that I can do it correctly. Like, I can't necessarily replicate my explanation. I'm not very good at thrusting. Next we shall... And of course there is a lot of sexual innuendo in this game, by the way. Like, sexual innuendo is constant. Sometimes it gets almost unbearable. So if you ever sort of sit there snickering to yourself, oh, yeah, thrusting, master stroke. There are master strokes in this game. Which is, you know, a perfectly reasonable phrase. Master stroke is not extremely uncommon in English, but it does make you think of things. There's going to be a lot of that, so get used to it. I'm not going to draw your attention to it, because it is, as I say, rather constant, but it's understood. Let me put it that way. It's not going over my head, and it's not... No, I get it. Next we shall practice the forward thrust. Grip your sword firmly, and quickly thrust it towards me. Okay, well, I wasn't able to get it on his position. I was able to on the third attempt, third time lucky. P-Berry, I think it's because it's much easier for the sensor bar to see the actual movement of a Wii Remote, but if it's going towards the sensor bar, I don't even know how it picks up on that, to be honest, but it does. I didn't really do a good job of explaining why it would be harder in that moment, but for me personally, it makes sense that it would be harder for the sensor bar to pick it up, because it's not as deliberate a movement as far as it is concerned. Very good. If you thrust strikes... Oh, I read that incorrectly. If your thrust strikes a monster in the right place, I mean, I read it correctly, but I interpreted it completely wrong. I had no idea what he was trying to say. You can inflict great damage. You would do well to remember this. It's absolutely true that thrust attacks are more damaging, but they're harder to get off consistently, and your attack speed is going to go down as well, at least a little bit. Not just by dint of the inaccuracy of your Wii Remote, but also just the mere fact that you can't do this as quickly as alternating up and down with your Wii Remote to do slashes back and forth. And I think also it doesn't allow you to do it as quickly, even if you were theoretically able to go really fast. Yeah, I don't even know how visible my... Oh no, it's all quite visible. I wasn't sure if my Wii Remote was under the view of the camera or not. It is for the most part. But if I bring it, okay, so if I bring it about here, it's fairly visible. That's good enough. It'll probably be visible every now and again just through playing the game normally. I don't even have to present it like, hey, look at me doing this. I think I'll just be bringing it up for purposes of accuracy and things like that. Very good. If you're thrust strike, yes, you would do well to remember this. I will remember it. Let us now move on to defense. I shall attack, and you shall use your shield to defend yourself. That's your shield. You have full control over where you're going to shield something. The entire screen is somewhere that you can have your shield hovering in order to evade attacks. And it can be said that enemies that you fight in this game will utilize all of that space. While our attacks, when a focal point is not set, is aimed right in the center of the screen, any part of the screen can actually be a point where the enemy can hit us. So you will always get these indications if it's a ranged attack. I think even close range stuff will give you an indicator, but it's... Usually if it's close range, it'll just... It's not really going to alert you to the fact that it's coming. It's almost instantaneous if it's a close range attack. But these things do depend on what sort of enemy you're going up against. If I am clearing my throat, I apologize. I'm sort of getting over... Do you recall that when I was last recording, I didn't end up uploading it, but my last Monster Hunter live stream that I did, I had like a non-functioning voice. Still getting over that a little bit, so if I have to clear phlegm, I will ask for your forbearance. Yeah, I don't actually have much experience with... Well, I have no experience with using a Wiimote nunchuck with Twilight Princess. As you may know, I only ever played the GameCube version, but apparently they used the nunchuck for the shield. I seem to remember using the nunchuck to do stuff with the shield in Skyward Sword, but yeah, in this particular game you'll see why using the shield with the Wii Remote is actually better. It's because all of the full accuracy of your pointing with your cursor here extends to that same level of accuracy for your shielding, which in a gameplay sense is quite empowering to the player. And if you can't shield something, that's all you. That means you need to get better with your reaction time and with your Wiimote pointing. It's pretty cool. Should the enemy use magic to attack you from afar, do not panic. Normally magic would be indicated with a blue warning, now that I think about it. Calmly move your shield to the reddish points where your senses tell you your foe means to strike. They're obviously striking a balance between breaking the fourth wall, but also not, as you can see. Raise your shield, and he's casting magic. Maybe it's not blue. Maybe it depends on the element of the magic. Maybe if it's fire magic, it'll be red. If it's something else like ice magic, it'll be blue. I'm not sure. I just know that occasionally you'll get different colored ones, so I'm sure we will discover that as we play. It is time for you to apply these techniques to a combat situation. You will block my attacks, and then counter it with a strike of your own. Well, I attacked too fucking fast, as you can tell. I made contact with him. I don't think they anticipated that I would riposte with such alacrity and vigor.
Yes, you are strong. You are well centered.
Thanks, mate.
You may even possess
Hello,
the inner
Autonomic.
tranquility required to execute the master stroke technique that I taught your father long ago. Do you wish to try?
Yes. I would love to show you my stroking abilities. I said I wouldn't draw your attention to these things, but I just can't help it. Concentrate now. The Master Stroke can take on many complex forms. This is something that will upgrade actually as you upgrade your weapon. So Master Strokes are like a strong final attack. That gauge down there is going to build up to 100% as you fight. And once it reaches 100%, then you can do that really strong attack, which is called a Master Stroke. The actual Master Stroke that you do is always attached to the weapon that you're actually using to fight with. So you'll have a basic Master Stroke with your standard sword, and then as you upgrade that sword, you'll have a new Master Stroke. Believe it or not, you can actually choose to use the Master Stroke that was there for the previous version of the upgrade as well. You're not forced to use the newest Master Stroke that you've acquired. In most scenarios, there is no benefit to using the older one that you had, but it will stay there as an option. In the early game, you're very rarely going to use the older one. When your sword has gathered sufficient power, you will be able to perform a Master Stroke. There you go, there's an indication of what happens there. That will build up slowly as you do battle. To do so, you must first call upon your sword to release this power. Press 2. That's where we go to the Master Strokes. This is where you will, later on in the game have quite a few options to choose from. If it's grey in colour, like a dark grey, as you can see, it means it's just raw damage. If it's got a colour, it means it'll have elemental damage included. I think you've got, just the normal elements. You've got thunder, ice, fire. I don't think there's any water attacks. It's just those three. Lightning, fire, and ice, as I recall. Then you must choose which Master Stroke you wish to perform. For the purpose of this exercise, let's attempt the Mighty Strike. Now, the Mighty Strike is what's going to be attached to our basic sword, the one that we're starting with in the game. Move cursor to Mighty Strike and press A. There we go. This is going to be rather awkward because this will require, see my arm? I need to thrust my arm in the air, and my boom stand is in the way, so... How I used to do this, I think, is I would, do that. I seem to remember doing that in my live stream series that I did before, the one from 4 or so years ago. You must execute the required moves within the time limit. Excellent. Now you must execute the final move to unleash the full power of the Master Stroke. Just dropping the volume back a little bit. I wanted the volume to be nice and high for dialogue, but I don't really want to get drowned out by game noise while I talk. You may have been able to see very briefly there that there was a timer for both the thrusting of the sword upwards and the slashing of the sword. Both of those actions have to be done within a particular space of time. It looked like about 3 seconds for both. So it's not that you're ever going to feel rushed, but they have a timer there to make it clear that you're actually... It feels more interactive, right? If you're doing something, you can't just sit there and be like, get a drink or fucking take a piss. You're in there, in the moment, and you have to do the attack. You've got a time limit. And it's never going to be something that will cause you to fail the Master Stroke. I can't recall ever failing a Master Stroke due to not having enough time, because you're right there in the moment and you're just doing it. The time does become relevant with more complex Master Strokes later on in the game, where there are multiple stages to the Master Stroke. So you have to do weird things with your Wii Remote, which actually builds power. And you have to build that power within, say, the 3-second time limit. It may also extend to 5 seconds, depending on the Master Stroke. I don't really remember. But the amount of power that you build is limited to that time. So that time will determine how much power you can build. And if you do the weird shit with your Wii Remote correctly, you'll be able to build the maximum power with the time allotted. If you're not good at doing the weird shit with the Wii Remote, you're not going to have full power. All of these things will become readily apparent as we play through the game. I'm just explaining it to you here because Swordmaster Dao is himself providing a tutorial for us. Perfect, you are indeed an apt pupil. It's not like a strong endorsement of my skills, is it? Apt. Apt is more like, you can do it, but you're not great. But know that there are many different types of Master Stroke. Some require wide and fast motions. Yeah, wide and fast. No matter how complex these moves, your grip on your sword must remain true. In other words, don't fucking throw it at your TV. That's why they invented these things, because people kept throwing them at the fucking TV. And the wrist strap. Don't forget about the wrist strap.
Tiger father begets tiger son. You have inherited your father's command of the blade. Since Claymore lost his arm, he is no longer able to wield a sword. But you, the kingdom of Avalonia, will be fortunate indeed to count you amongst its warriors.
Yes, if you're using a sword, be sure to secure the wrist strap to your wrist before swinging it around. That is essential.
Here ends the Royal Festival of Swordsmanship, commemorating the 5th anniversary of the defeat of Cyphus the Deathbringer!
The Deathbringer! You really have to appreciate that guy's elocution. Cyphus the Deathbringer! We've been given, thrust in our face are the controls to actually move around. I actually quite like that. That's a really simple and effective way to show us how to play the game when we are given the opportunity to play the game. Some people might prefer to just canoodle around with the Wii remote until they eventually get things done. Those people can just hit B to return immediately. People like me who like to actually look at these things, it's right there. So you can obviously interact with A. Your directional buttons are precisely as you would expect them to be. If you're holding up and B, you'll be able to run, which is good. And your menu is accessed from number 1 on the Wii Remote. Number 2 on the Wii Remote is exclusively for accessing your master strokes in combat, as I recall. Talking to people. When you approach someone you can talk to, a red arrow will appear above their head. If you press A, you will talk to the person indicated by the red arrow. If you want to talk to a different person on the screen, simply point the Wii Remote at them to highlight them with the red arrow instead. As you can see, full control, because you're pointing a thing around. If you forget anything that you have learned, look for help in the miscellaneous menu. So as far as looking up and down, you can't really look up and down because obviously well, not obviously, I'm telling you this is how it works. Forward, or rather up and down on the D-pad is to move forward and backwards, so you can't really look up. So there's a possible lack of verticality in the game. It's also worth mentioning that you don't have to hold forward to move. You can actually hold B to move as well. That's what I tend to do. I hold B and then just direct myself with left and right. If you're holding B and forward, you go a bit faster, as you can see. This isn't a great place to demonstrate that because it's a rather small area. This guy here, not this guy, but rather this guy, this fella, he's quite significant. Let's have a chat to him.
You looked good out there, lad. Aye, that you did. Of course, old Dow was just playing with you, but still. If only I hadn't messed up my arm so badly, eh? Then I could have trained you up good and sharp, and maybe it would have been you playing with Dow.
Ah, there you are. That last bout was quite a spectacle. I'm rather impressed.
Prince Anless, it's been a long time.
I shouldn't just be imitating what he does. I actually have hair that I can move, you know, I can do this shit, you know. I shouldn't force myself to imitate a person who has even less hair than me.
You're a good deal tougher now than when you used to train under me, by the looks of it.
Quite right. You'll find I never miss a day's training.
I don't know, he doesn't immediately come across as a tough guy, does he? But apparently Claymore, who is very much he's an accomplished warrior, he can tell, so I would trust his judgment.
So don't imagine you can outdo me, just because you come from heroic stock.
Don't point at me.
Spar together sometime.
It's rather intimidating, especially after you've been praised by my father.
Forgive me for asking, Your Highness, but where's Queen Katana? I haven't seen Her Majesty all day.
Claymore is speaking very much sotto voce. I hope that was audible for you all. I may have to raise the volume of the game even more so.
Mother is... I am told she has been feeling unwell in recent days.
Speak up! No, seriously, I don't know if you guys can even hear that very clearly, but that's alright. At least you got the subtitles.
She confines herself to her chamber and refuses to see anyone, including myself.
I was thinking of dropping in and saying how do, but maybe I'll save it for another time. Well, it'll be getting dark soon, son. Time to head home. Good to see you looking so well, Your Highness. You take care now.
Perhaps we want to speak with this fellow a little bit more. What's he doing? Oh, he's making sure that his attire is correctly adjusted. An interesting detail of this game is that every person, so you will have heard that sound of the text being, I don't know, typed on the screen. We can say typed, we can say appear on the screen, whatever. Every single character will have a different tone for the text appearing on the screen, and I think it's supposed to relate to the pitch of their speaking voice. So if you speak to a female character, they will always have a much higher pitched sound with the text coming on the screen than, say, a man with, like say that big muscly guy goes, Deathbringer! He comes up with a very low sound when the text comes on the screen. Little details like that, I'm sorry, are just... they mean everything to me. Just when it comes to video games, games that go into that sort of depth, that sort of detail, are the games that I appreciate most. And quite frankly, that is most of the Japanese games that you will come across. You know, Western video games, not so much. They're focused on, big crazy graphics, whereas these games have a little bit more substance to them. Obviously, that's speaking in very general terms, and I wouldn't die on that mountain, or die on that hill, is that what they say? But largely speaking, that's exactly how it is. That's the distinction between Japanese games and non-Japanese games, usually. I'm terribly disappointed that Mother wasn't able to witness your splendid display of swordsmanship earlier, Link. When she has recovered, we must make up for it by staging a little duel of our own in her presence. So, when you listen to the sound of this guy's text, much lower, much deeper. Oh, I was supposed to be one of the guests on I can't even... what is that supposed to say? Oh, guests of honor. One of the guests of honor here today is the monk what fought in the battle against Xiphos years back. I can't quite do it. I'm sort of jumping around with different accents, and I rather hope that no one who is from the British continent will actually be watching this. I think he went off to live in the forest with his sister in the end. Yeah, right. I think if I were to choose an accent and stick with it, maybe it would work, but I'm not doing a good job of that, so I will actually abstain from speaking in that accent going forward, much to your pleasure. What's happening with this guy? He looks very Dragon Quest, doesn't he? Speaking of Dragon Quest as a series, it's not a series that I've really played very much. I'm happy to admit that the only game that I've really properly played in the Dragon Quest series is the one that we're playing now. It has always been my intention to change that. I'm sure that in my 2015 Let's Play I was saying words to that effect, like, I really need to play the other Dragon Quest games. Well, here I am just about 10 years later and I still haven't done that. I'm sure I will remedy the situation at some point, but anyway. Apparently Dragon Quest VIII also does the different character text pitch. Yeah, I think it's just a really nice touch. I'm afraid she's a little unwell at present and not receiving visitors. I'm doing a really terrible job of reading today, I don't know if you've noticed. If we were to go back to my 2015 Let's Play, I would have read all of this stuff fucking flawlessly, but I'm just falling over my words at the moment. If I engage my brain, I have little doubt that I will be able to function at the same
There you are,
standard that I once
you
did.
go on home ahead of me, all right? I have an errand to run.
Very good.
It's your 16th birthday tomorrow after all. I suppose I'd best find you a present of some sort, eh?
It would be appreciated. Father of mine. Who's this? Apparently there is an HD remake coming out of Dragon Quest III in November. That's pretty cool. I don't really intend to play remakes though. I'd definitely play the original games as much as I could. The reason why it's not like a snobbish perspective around it, I've got nothing against remakes. For the most part, they are to be encouraged. But I want to play the original game so that I can then play the remake and see what's been improved upon. Otherwise, you take it at face value, don't you? You're playing a game and you don't know what's been improved upon, you don't know how it's changed, so there's nothing to comment on. I would rather play the original version than play the new version and see the differences. It's a much more meaningful interaction. Especially with a game that has some history to it. If I was not privileged enough to have experienced it at the time it came out, then I want to at least inform myself in a similar way to someone who had experienced it at the time. It just feels more meaningful, Just to explain what's happening here, my character, as in me, is asleep. And the way my father is trying to wake me up is by actually casting offensive spells at me, which is a bit untoward, particularly given that I'm experiencing a birthday anniversary on this day.
Kaboom!
Apparently Dragon Quest III already has about 3 remakes, okay? Well, it is a very old game as well.
I'm glad that last kaboom woke you, sleepyhead. The next spell I had lined up could have hurt.
Well, I don't know. If you ever fight with Claymore, which you will at some point, particularly at Seacass Sea Cove, as I recall. Shocking that I remember these details. If you see Kaboom, for example, it does hurt enemies, so I would suspect that this was hurting me as well. But maybe he can reduce the damage that's dealt to me. I don't know.
You're tired from your turn with old Dow yesterday, eh? But you know what today is, don't you?
Claymore's level 1, so the spells don't hurt much. Fair enough. Are you saying that a level 1 warrior, or whatever you want to call him, was he level 1 when he defeated Xiphos the first time? Is that what you're suggesting? I bet you're tired from your turn. Oh, rather, he was saying that aloud. I don't need to say that.
Aye, that it is. Your 16th birthday, lad. The day the Queen will order you to take the Walk of the Worthy, and you'll become a man. So, don't keep Her Majesty waiting, son. Get yourself sorted and head over to the castle.
Remember, different cultures will have different ideas of when a boy becomes a man. In many cultures, 14 is actually the age. In some cultures, it's 16. In the modern era, it's very much 18, unless you live in America where you're basically infantilized until the age of 21, and even then you're still probably called a kid. So in every culture except for, good old America, you're usually considered an adult by 18. But, yeah, that's alright. If you turn back the clock a few years, it was 14 and 16 in most cultures. So this is actually our storage, weirdly enough. It's not something that I utilize very often. I think you can just hold a lot of things in your inventory. As soon as I saw this, I immediately recognized that it was something that I could use, but I don't really have a memory of needing to use it, because as I recall, and obviously my recollections are probably not to be relied upon, but your inventory can hold all sorts of things. Actually, do you know what? Some consumables are limited in your inventory. So I suppose if you've got certain consumables that are maxed out in your inventory, then you can put the rest of it in this box. And I think it does that automatically. You don't actually have to manually put it in this box. But if you were ever minded to replenish your inventory using stuff in this box, you can just come and do that. But as I seem to remember, it's very automated. Because I just don't remember really going to this box very much. I'm looking at it, I know what it is, but I don't remember using it very much. So I suspect you don't really need to make use of it. Anyway. Examining things. Basic controls too. If you point the Wii Remote at something that looks interesting and a red arrow appears above it, press A. You might find something useful. They're basically spoiling the experience. They're telling us what's gonna happen if we click on a barrel. That I don't really like. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like this is a really scathing criticism. Like, the acuity of my criticism is just absolutely blazingly powerful or anything like that. No. The reality is I'd rather not have that, because we've literally just had a graphic appear on the screen that's going to tell me what's going to happen before it happens, which is kind of, I don't like it. So the warm words that I had for the tutorial pictures that were appearing earlier on do not extend to this, because it's literally telling me what's going to happen before I do it. Saving your game. You know, that's probably taking a tutorial a bit too far, that's what I'd say. Saving your game. To save your progress in an adventure log, go to the church in town, talk to the sister in charge, and select confession. Now, obviously by sister they mean nun. In Japanese they say sister instead of nun. It's not technically incorrect to say sister in English, but you would say nun in most scenarios. So yeah, just keep in mind the word for nun in Japanese is literally sister. So that's why they've kept that there. Just a fun fact when it comes to translation. Make your way to the castle. We've been instructed to go towards the castle. I don't think that precludes me from visiting this this rather South Asian looking individual, but I think we'll maybe speak to him on another occasion. Let's just go to the castle. That is what we're being directed to do. AJ says, something I'm not sure if they ever explain is that you can search barrels and pots and stuff. Yeah, so that was precisely what I was mentioning there, where they actually give you a picture of it. But I guess that harkens back to, as you say, the much older Dragon Quest games. I guess Super Nintendo era, if it's the games that came after NES. Well, we're here in the castle. Just to explain again what we're here to do. It is our 16th birthday. It's a role-playing game, so I'm just going to speak in the first person. It's our 16th birthday, and we are going to take the Walk of the Worthy. That is essentially a journey of sorts, where you will encounter enemies and you have to kill them, and it's combat, confrontation, and that is like a ritual of sorts for becoming a man. Ritual is not quite the word, I can't think of the word, but basically it's what you do to become a man in this culture, or in this city. I don't really know how far it extends within this world, but anyway. Oh hey, it's you, Link. Of course, today's your 16th birthday, isn't it? Ordinarily, you'd be granted an audience with Her Majesty, but she's apparently a bit under the weather. Again. Well, Colonel, I don't know if you really need to be commenting on the frequency of her ill health. If anything, that would be rather damaging to the state of the monarchy, would it not? Oh, she's sick again. She's unwell again. You're supposed to be bigging her up. I wish I knew what was going on. This guy is very candid with this random 16-year-old boy.
Felicitations, birthday boy. How peculiar for you to be visiting the castle alone.
Well, my father is in the pub drinking, so it's just the natural order of things, really. Yes, I'm here to meet with your mother.
How unfortunate. She's made it quite clear that she does not wish to entertain visitors at present. She has even refused to grant me an audience, her own son. Sorry, I am desperately worried about her.
We can't really say whether that's unusual or not. I mean, we can say on the face of it that it's unusual that the Queen would not grant an audience to her own son, but we don't really know anything about the closeness of their relationship, or if it even is close.
Your Highness, I trust all is tickety-boo.
I have mixed feelings about Minister Misericord. That's his name. The thing with Minister Misericord is he is... You know, I think back to, like, if you're listening to, like, phone-in radio, and they let someone on who's, like, an octogenarian or something like that, it's nice up to a point, but they start to go on and on and on, and they might speak rather slow, and they might be difficult to understand, and it gets a little awkward. That's what this guy's like. He speaks slowly, and sometimes you're just like, I'd like you to stop now. I'd like you to stop now. That's what this guy is like. And all is tickety-boo, save for the absence of the Queen.
Ah, Minister Misericord. My young friend here is celebrating his 16th birthday today. Accordingly, he has come for an audience with Mother.
Aha, I see. Unfortunately, the Queen is somewhat unavailable. Yes,
That's one way of putting it.
this does give rise to a most vexing dilemma. What to do? What to do?
I suspect it would be, like, as far as what's going to actually happen, if I can't have an audience with the Queen, it means that I just won't have an audience with the Queen, and then I go do the walk. You know, it sucks. Feels like I'm sort of missing out. I rather suspect that people who are perhaps a year or 2 or 3 older than me were able to experience that, but sometimes you just have to go without, you know.
Bingo. I have it.
I have it.
I shall momentarily assume the role of Her Majesty
Oh,
and convey the procedure of the walk in her place.
well, that's just dandy, isn't it?
Excellent, Minister. I myself must away. Training beckons, you understand. So I shall leave this matter in your capable hands.
Come on, we need a hair flick, man.
I shall come, if I may, somewhat directly to the...
This is what I mean. This here, this
yes,
fucking dialogue.
To the point. As you have now come of age, you are required to undertake the walk of the worthy.
Like that entire first sentence, I understand that they're trying to give this character some colour, but I can really do without. Like that entire first sentence, quite frankly, achieved nothing. It communicated nothing, and I felt waylaid unnecessarily by the fact that you had to speak that sentence. Like, I feel like I'm being detained unnecessarily and being forced to listen to absolute nothingness. Anyway, yes, let's take the walk.
Of the Kingdom of Avalonia. A trial to establish your merit, if you will.
Peaberry obviously making the point very clearly that he's a bit boring to listen to.
Beyond the plains to the north, you will find the notorious Caliburn Cave.
Yes.
The Walk of the Worthy merely
Yes,
requires you to return
the Walk of the Worthy.
from its innermost chamber. The worth of worth.
Oh, the worth of worth. Very well considered as a name, I might say.
I have little doubt that you, one of Avalonia's most promising young talents, will succeed and return triumphant.
Oh, yep. It's over. Believe it or not, there's more. There is indeed more dialogue to be experienced with this rather small and aging individual. But we will indeed experience some respite. Some time away from him. And it will indeed relate to playing the game. Hello. You look excuse me, lady, but you look extremely Dragon Quest. It doesn't get more Dragon Quest than this. Listen to how high-pitched it is. I came all this way hoping to see the looker of a prince everyone talks about, but they won't let me inside the castle. Do you think it might be because you're dressed in such an unsightly way? Maybe not unsightly, more like unseemly. I mean, that sort of outfit is just not acceptable for the castle. You managed to get in there though, didn't you? You lucky thing. It's not fair. Well, I'm not borderline naked, okay? Only one strap, it's gonna break off. That's the point! You're missing the point, Peaberry. It's supposed to fall off. That's that's part of her strategy. Just think of the slimes. Imagine the slimes and their eyes turning into hearts when her fucking chest armor falls off. That's like half of the battle.
Hello there, young man. The Colonel told us you'd be heading out of town today. You're off to take the walk, aren't you?
I rather am.
Right, well, I better open the gates then.
I don't know how they got this amount of automation for the gates. It's quite impressive. Interesting mechanism.
Caliburn Cave already, are you, lad?
That's right.
I'd like to say I'll go with you, but that wouldn't make it much of a trial now, would it? No, lad. This is something you've got to do on your own.
Don't point at me.
I'll be thinking of you, though. I may even remember to raise a glass to you down the pub.
And back off to the pub.
Typical Claymore, same as ever. Well, good luck on the walk. Just follow the path across the plains and you'll be at Caliburn Cave before you know it.
He got very serious there. I don't know if you saw his eyebrows. They were very furrowed. Alright, so here is the map, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you will take it as a spoiler. I would hope that you wouldn't take it as such, but we are able to access multiple locations on this map. You'd probably assume as much. There is actually more in the game than what's here, but this is our first, I guess, interactive map. And the only part of this that we can visit at this time is Caliburn Cave. I don't really like how weird it is. You see, like, I hover over it, it's like... It's like that. I'm not really sure why it's so awkward. But let's go there anyway. Northern Plains. I'm happy to say, everyone, it's been an hour and 7 minutes and we're now actually beginning to play the game. As I say, there is an introductory period for the game. I actually felt that I ferried you all through that reasonably well, kept it lighthearted and fun. It can be a little hard as a starting point for a video game. Like, I'm thinking back to the old Let's Play days. By the old Let's Playing days standard, that's a slow start. But for a live stream, like a longer live stream, that's quite alright. When your HP falls to 0, well, let's actually say that differently. When your HP falls to 0. If your HP falls to 0 during battle, you will be transported back to town and lose half the gold coins you were carrying. I actually forgot that detail. You actually lose half of your money. If things get a little hairy, okay, ellipses, you can go to miscellaneous in the menu and select return to town to make a quick getaway when not in battle. So if it feels like you've expended most of your healing wares or you're just performing really badly and want to give it another try, you can actually just go back to town, which is pretty good. It'll not only save your life, but half your money too. So there you go. You are given the opportunity to make your own judgment as to whether or not it is worth continuing or not. I suppose in the end you can kind of take matters into your own hands and reset the fucking game. That's always an option. Just save before you leave, and then reset. I think they included that feature with the understanding that people would just do that anyway, right? So they may as well build it into the game. And I quite like that. You can indeed interact with grass. You can shuffle it around, get an antidotal herb, which is good. Here we go. Now, you just saw at the beginning of the confrontation there, I'm going to move this a little further away. You saw at the beginning of the confrontation there that we drew a sword. Now that sword is the one that we are actually wielding. When I swing my sword, you're only going to see those lines appearing on the screen. You're not going to see the sword at all. That is the only moment in which you can see the sword you're wielding. It is at the beginning when it unsheathes and it slides across the screen from the left to the right. It's a nice touch, particularly in a game where you can't see the sword that you're wielding. So it's that immediate reminder that that is the sword you're using. It is actually helpful to be reminded of what you're equipping, particularly later on in the game where you may choose different weapons for different confrontations. Keeping in mind that there are elemental weapons, so when you're focused on boss confrontations, you may be switching between different weapons in accordance with the weaknesses of the bosses you're fighting. We're given another battle. Essentially, this is just a pictorial example, or a pictorial summary of the big tutorial we just had before. I'm going to use focal points, not focal points. Ooh, I'm going to shield you. I'm going to use focal points for the most part, and the reason why is because I'm not really anticipating that my accuracy is going to be any good. Fuck, I just took a hit there. Slimes. You can actually hit enemies. Okay, what I should say is you can build your combo. You see I have an 11 hit combo. You can actually build that combo by continuing to attack enemies that still have their physical form while they're dying. Slimes, not so much. You can get additional hits off in like that very small, that short instance where their body is falling apart but hasn't completely disappeared. But every single enemy will give you different opportunities to build your hit combo. Your hit combo is going to greatly influence your final score when you go through an area. So you will go through an entire area, and based on your performance you will get a certain score. And actually I should continue moving because the time that it takes for you to clear an area will also impact upon your score. So I'm going to keep moving. It is probably not beneficial to me at all to there we go, got a level up. That's very good. You can see I'm getting gold and experience when I kill these enemies. It's probably not a good idea for me to be too focused on the end result. You know, focused on getting a really good score. Keep moving, come on. Because it may actually introduce some element of frustration into my psyche as I play the game, but anyway. Apparently Thunder is just overall the best. That's probably true. I haven't really looked in depth into the balancing of the game. As I play, I will be aiming for the best possible hit combo. Keep in mind that you've got two metrics. I'm gonna have to take the dirt, you know. I can't shield both. I've reached 50. So the two metrics that will contribute to your end score that relate to hitting enemies are your hit chain, in other words, the combo. Oh, mini-medals are quite interesting. So mini-medals are like a special version of money, which can be used to purchase certain things. So yeah, you've got... Sorry, I'm trying to explain all these different things. So, this hit chain here, which is currently at 68, that is going to be something that I will be scored on at the end. Another thing is my hit accuracy. And guard accuracy, that's another thing as well. Hit accuracy and guard accuracy. So if I miss any hits and cause my combo to be negatively affected, it's not the end of the world because I will still be able to benefit from... Ooh. I'll still be able to benefit from the high accuracy of my attacks. At the moment, I'm on 100% accuracy, just to be clear, because I haven't missed a strike. Yeah, this game is extremely fun. It's extremely fun. You can see why this is a game that I will always come back to. It's just different. It's a different experience. I hope that the way that I'm playing it can still communicate how fun it is, because I'm playing it very carefully, because I want to get my hit chain up. This is just one of those things. It's just a thing that I experience with this game. I have to get a good hit chain, and if I fuck up my hit chain, I'm quite upset. I mean, I'm not actually going to lose my shit. I'm fairly detached from getting good results while playing this game, but I want to do the best I can, despite not having played it in 4 years. And then it had been about 5 years since I'd played it at that. No, that's not true. I did 2017. So 2015, 2017, 2020. I think it was 2019, wasn't it? So let's just say 2015, 2017, 2019, 2024. So, yeah, I haven't been playing this game frequently, but I have returned to it many times.
There's no mistaking a son of old Claymore, is there? I mean, look how easily you got here. But this is just the start of the Walk of the Worthy. Are you ready for the true test ahead?
Yes. I'm ready.
Right. Well, here are a few things to help you on your way. Use one if things get hairy in there.
Thank you. This is now the second time they've referred to things getting hairy. Is that like an actual confirmed in-game phrase?
May the goddess be with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think things getting hairy is like official terminology for the game.
I pray that she will see you safe through the challenges that lie ahead, with all of your limbs still attached.
It's funny, they've basically just got a female version of God in the sense that they say goddess as a name, in the same way people say God as a name, and also he being capitalized is also reflected here. She is capitalized, so yeah, they've basically just made a feminine version of God, which is entirely acceptable, really. Before I continue, I will visit the bathroom, Caliburn Cave. We were sort of in the fields leading up to the cave itself. I can't remember what the fields were called, but yeah, now that we're in Caliburn Cave, you can see it's a separate location. Now, we do have our Master Stroke all charged up here. I'm actually going to save it for a scenario where I may be likely to accidentally miss an attack, or to hit an enemy that might be difficult to hit. I don't think there are many examples of such confrontations here in the very first area of the game, but there may be one or two. There are also special enemies that are really difficult to hit and kill that give you additional XP. They are metal slimes. I don't think any metal slimes will appear here in the first area, at least not when I'm first going through it. But later on in the game, absolutely, you will have these little metal slimes that will only appear in the confrontation area very briefly, and if you're able to kill them, you will be rewarded handsomely with a lot of experience and a lot of gold. That would be a very good use for a Master Stroke while you're going through the area. Keep in mind, Master Strokes are going to be most useful against bosses who have lots of health. Typically, your Master Stroke damage is going to exceed the health of almost every single enemy that you're going to fight in an area, so it's very much ideal to be used against bosses. But it can also be used, as I say, for things like those metal slimes, because a Master Stroke, when you do the attack, everything on the screen is going to be hit. It is not directional in any way. A Master Stroke is basically like dropping a nuclear bomb on everything that you're in combat with, so it's very useful in that way. Yeah, I don't know what happens if I say no when he asks the question, do I want to continue through the Walk of the Worthy and into Caliburn Cave? If I say no, does he say, oh, you're getting cold feet now? Surely you don't mean that. And then he asks the question again. I don't know. Maybe if you say no, you do get sent back. That would be quite funny. But anyway, I'm going to visit the bathroom, and I will be back momentarily. I have to tell you that stepping over the cable that connects my webcam to my computer is really testing my flexibility. If anything, it's very good for maintaining flexibility, and I must say I'm rather inflexible, but it's a good stretch, we'll put it that way. No, it does work, AJ. 100%. You can kill those metal slimes with a Master Stroke. They will not take 1 damage. You're probably thinking of King Latem, who will take 1 damage from everything. It's probably accurate to say that metal slimes will have greater resistance to probably all raw damage and elements, but 100% I have very clear memories of being able to use Master Strokes to kill metal slimes with considerable reliability. So, yeah. King Latem, however, no, he will just take 1 damage from everything. But King Latem is right in the endgame of Dragon Quest Swords. We're not going to be seeing him for a long time. Okay, so... oh, very good. As far as the amount of time that it takes to clear an area, I'm quite sure that it only relates to time spent outside of the menu. That would be quite... oh, fuck, I just lost my combo. That's really annoying. What was that? That was 60-something hits. Not too bad. I just want to get an S rank. Obviously, my... okay, so set a focal point. This is where they're really encouraging you to set a focal point. And the reason why is because they're actually positioned on the left side of the screen. It would be quite difficult to hit all 3 of these enemies without setting a focal point. They do expect that you might not be taking advantage of that particular attack style at this point in the game. I've obviously been doing it, just for the sake of accuracy. I can actually continue hitting them while they're dying, just for the sake of my hit chain. Oh, I fucked it up again. It's all over now. Whatever accuracy I would have had is gone. Well, that's good news. I'm not annoyed about it. I can just sort of live with my poor performance. But yeah, you get various ranks. I think it goes from a C to a B to an A to an S, and then X. X is quite difficult to achieve, I will say. X requires basically no mistakes whatsoever. If you do get hit by that ranged poison attack... Oh, interesting thing to mention about this enemy here. If you do horizontal slashes, he'll actually jump over your sword. So it's important to do either diagonals, thrusts, or vertical slashes. If you end up doing a horizontal, he will avoid it. And if you're trying to get a good hit chain, that will mess up your hit chain. I don't particularly want to demonstrate it because I don't want to have a lower accuracy than I could have. If you're wondering why I'm sort of holding off on doing repeated attacks, like for example, just right there, I set my focal point, attacked once, waited, then attacked again. That relates to trying to get my hit chain perfect. His body physically moving to the side when he gets hit the first time might cause him to evade an immediate follow-up slash. So I wait for his body to return to where it was originally, and then I attack again. It's just, again, very much focused on high accuracy. So, the way I play is not necessarily how everyone's going to play. Some people are going to play this game and not be paying any attention whatsoever to their hit chain. I only do it because I've played this game a lot, and because I have played it a lot, the end rank that I get, like my end score, is quite important to me. Do you know what? You're wasting my time. Let's do a master stroke. This will be a good example of what it can actually do. All of the enemies here are going to be hit by my master stroke. And now we do the big... Oh, that ended up being a diagonal. I did an accidental thrust there, but fortunately it made contact with one of the dying enemies, which was very useful. Anyway. Deflecting projectiles. So this is going to be a confrontation that will require us to deflect things in order to hit enemies. So that's what the blue ones are. Now I remember. If it's red, it can only be shielded. If it's blue, you can either shield or hit it back. So that's an important distinction to make. Certain enemy projectiles can be hit back at them if you are quick enough with your sword. Blue marks will appear where such attacks are destined to strike. Simply hit the blue spots at the right moment to return the enemy's projectiles with interest. They're basically saying, when you return the projectile, it will possibly even double the damage. It'll increase the damage, basically, based on probably your attack value. Oh, let's get that rock. I want to go quickly, but not so quickly that it just spoils the experience. You're watching me play through the game, not watching a speed run. So a lucky bag... do you know what? I'm not even going to make a Monster Hunter comparison, because there might be people watching this, particularly the VOD, who aren't that inclined to watch Monster Hunter stuff. Basically, your lucky bag can contain a random thing. Well, maybe not even a random thing. They just don't specify what it is. I think lucky bags might actually be set. I don't think it's like a random thing, but it will be appraised at the end, or rather you open the lucky bag at the end of the journey, and then you'll get whatever is inside it. I think I'm correct in saying that lucky bags are actually not random at all. So, lovely lucky bags. You will find lucky bags as you fight your way through the wilderness, but their contents will remain a mystery until you return to town. When you finally do, you'll be able to look inside the lucky bags, that's an example, in lucky bags you found on your travels. Even if you go back to town early or fall in the field, you still get to keep your lucky bags. Well, that I did not know. So I guess if you do have to return, you're given that option. I don't know if I want to go right or left. Left is a required direction to go in. Oh no, I know what's going on. So this left side is a direction we can't go in yet, because our sword is not yet capable of breaking this rock. You will at a certain point in the game acquire an ability to hit through these things. I think it's called Boulder Dasher. And imagine like you're playing Pokemon and you get cut. It's like getting cut in Pokemon, like you can cut through trees. It's that, but for rocks. Once you get that ability, you'll be able to go through that rock. Until such time, we're going to have to take the right direction. Obviously, that indicates that you may, for one reason or another, end up coming back to various locations. I don't think you're ever truly required to come back to Caliburn Cave, but it's always recommended that for acquiring materials to upgrade your weapons, that you go back to locations you've been to before to gather things, to gather materials. Okay, apparently if you get an orange projectile indicator, you can block it with a sword strike, but it won't be reflected back, which is quite useful. I'm trying to think of a confrontation where that's used. Off the top of my head, can't remember. Now this guy I think is hiding behind a rock, and you might not be able to hit him immediately. Oh, you can see that's an excellent example. So if I time it incorrectly, it will actually hit the arrow off target. If you wait for enough time for the arrow to get nice and close, your attack will hit true. Now he's hiding behind a rock. I may have to hit the rock before I hit him. No, that's not necessary. For some confrontations, you'll actually end up hitting something that the enemy is hiding behind before you hit the enemy themselves. Link obtains 19 gold coins. I would strongly recommend I would strongly recommend, particularly in the early game, to hit. Let me rephrase that, sorry. I'm just a little bit distracted by this confrontation. Okay, so I would strongly recommend searching all rocks and all grass, just anything that you can interact with to get gold coins. Do it in the early game. There's no reason not to. You will only benefit from it. You can see them jumping there. Ah, fucker! He just messed up my combo again. I don't know what I got there, but it would have been rather simple. Yeah, if you don't fight enemies quickly enough, they will flee. That will actually affect your end score as well. So, your end score, I mentioned you've got accuracy, you've got your hit chain, number of enemies killed, I think it's a percentage of enemies killed, is also included. So if you've got enemies running away from you because you've been too slow to fight them or to engage them, that is going to affect your score negatively. I'm pretty confident I'm not going to be getting an X rank. I will get an S rank, but not an X. Not for this performance. But I'd be doing pretty fucking well if it's been this long since I last played and I get an X rank first try. You could see there that there was a good example of hitting back an arrow and it ended up hitting a rock instead of the enemy, even though it was well positioned. We're getting quite close to the boss. That's actually the boss door just up ahead. I'm only at 51%, but that's alright. We'll be able to build up our Master Stroke gauge fairly quickly when we engage the boss. Oh, apparently there's a dot on my camera. Oh yes, I do see it.
Well met, seeker of worth. Behold this knight of old, Sir Dirk Worthington.
I remember while I was playing, this is really quite unexpected, but while I was playing through Dark Souls, I was referring to Kirk as Dirk. This is Dirk. This is the reason why I was saying Dirk. You know, I was basically accessing old memories in the back of my mind. I'm like, What's that guy's name? Is it Dirk? No, it was Kirk in Dark Souls, but this is Dirk.
Sire. That is your charge. Defeat me and take your place amongst the ranks of the worthy. Battle without quarter!
Okay. Boss fight. I usually open with a Master Stroke, but I haven't actually charged it up. Alright, you can see that boss fights are a little bit different. Alright, once you, for most bosses, once you get them to half health, they will become stronger. I'm not even going to have the chance to use my Master Stroke. Oh, he managed to get me. Okay, so there was an indication as to the trajectory of his attack, and I obviously didn't get it quite right. But as a first boss fight, he's extremely easy, as you can tell. I can keep attacking him here just to get up my hit chain. There we go. My accuracy will be quite high. My top hit chain is going to be like 70 something. What do we got here? Ooh, this is not that great. Is that even an S rank? Oh, it's not even an S rank. Fuck. Oh, do you know why? It's my guard accuracy. Look at that, 77%. Accuracy, 98%. Not great. So out of 204 hits, I got 200 on the mark. That's not too bad. Gave me a decent number of points. This, guard accuracy, crap. I only managed to guard 27 out of 35 instances where I needed to guard something. My clear time, not great. As you can see, Monsters Vanquished was not complete as well. These are all of the parameters that will influence your end score. I can't believe I didn't get an S rank. That's quite unseating. I almost can't believe it. Okay. Link is awarded the title of Worthy Apprentice. You will actually have... It's a rather strange system, but basically you've got renown and a number. It doesn't really mean much. And you get titles as you clear areas, but can I just say, it doesn't actually relate to anything. I wish they would have done more with this system. Like your renown, I think it's the number of people who know about you. There are 45 people who know about me because of what I've just done. I believe that's correct. And then once 60 people know about me, then I'll get my next title. I think that's correct. That was like an impression or an idea that I had 15 years ago. I don't know if that's accurate or correct or anything, but yeah. You can now check your title and renown from the status screen. Iron Ore, Monster Bone. That was my reward for rank A. You get better rewards the higher your rank. I'm still quite miffed that I didn't get an S rank. Lucky bags, I've got hardwood headwear. This is armor. There is indeed armor in this game. My bonuses are accuracy over 80%. So if I get over 80%, I get a bonus. If I get 100% accuracy, that will be a bonus of its own kind, because you can see my accuracy is 98%, and the bonus relates to anything over 80. So there will be a separate bonus for 100% accuracy. Obviously, I didn't get that on this occasion. Monsters Vanquished was not complete. Basically, if you get perfect scores, you can X-rank this fucking thing. But I didn't even get an S, so I could have done better. Let's put it that way. Could have done better.
Such mastery of the sword.
No, you're just not particularly good.
Thou art worthy. I am defeated. So endeth the walk of the worthy.
Yeah. Thanks for your service, guy. Alright, let's go to the adventure log. We're going to find... It's quite shocking that I haven't actually saved the game since I started. Log number 7. Yes. Chapter 2. Doubt. Welcome home, Link. It's good to see you back in one piece. No need to worry about the state of your shield, I'll fix it up for you whenever you come back to town. That's an interesting little detail. So, shield durability is a stat for every shield that you have. Your shield is usually divided up into multiple parts. So it's divided into quarters around the edge, and then in the center... No, that's precisely what it is. So it's divided into quarters, and then when your shield has completely broken, it'll just be like a little circle in the middle, as I remember. So as your shield durability is whittled down, parts of it will break off. I didn't shield enough in that particular location to have any damage to my shield sustained, but it seems that when you come back to, I guess, the city, the town, this guy repairs your shield for you, so that's quite interesting. That is a detail that I had forgotten. Oh yeah, I meant to show you this before. This is the game. There it is, right there. There's the back. There's the inside of it. Square Enix. Obviously you got your Australian parental guidance rating. It says it has mild violence and mild themes. Don't know about mild themes. What's an example of a mild theme? Evil people? I don't know what a mild theme would be in this context. Hello, sir. This is the item shop. You can also play the tombola here. You can have a go on the tombola whenever you like, provided you have tombola tickets. Well, I don't have any tombola tickets. If you shop regularly enough at the same place, you may receive tombola tickets. Anyway, what can I do for you? Well, I don't have any tickets, so I can't play the tombola. Fun fact, the best shield in this game is actually acquired from the tombola. I don't think the tombola is complete chance. I think there are techniques that you can use to get, like, the perfect roll. I have to tell you, the only time that I got the best shield in the game was on my old Wii, with my original save file for the game. I've never been able to get it since. I've tried, I have absolutely tried. I remember where I was, I remember what I was doing, I remember everything when I got that shield on my original character. And I seem to remember having spent hours just that day trying to get it. And I tried many times prior, and I was just so elated. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my god, I finally did it. It was a lot of work. It's called the Liquid Metal Shield, I think. Very, very good shield. I think the second best one is the Hero's Shield, something like that. Yeah, this guy has a pipe, that's quite right. So just to go over the city for you, most of the people here are just people that you talk to. They don't actually have anything meaningful to contribute to your experience. This guy is where you go to if you want basic consumables. So what we have at the moment, and this is pretty much everything that we picked up while we were on the way. If you remember that guy who said, "Use this if things get hairy in there." Well, he gave us some medicinal herbs, which will heal our, well, obviously recover our HP, and then some antidotal herbs. We actually picked up at least 1 or 2 antidotal herbs in the field, and I think maybe 1 or 2 were included in his bag that he gave us. This here, fill pockets, see that? So our inventory is represented by the picture of us. Our storage, or in other words our bag, which is not our inventory, this is not what we bring out into the field. This is that chest that I mentioned before, the one in our house. I had a feeling there was some automation because you can hit this button, which is fill pockets. This is a button that will literally take anything you have in here and put it in here to the maximum capacity that could be held within your inventory. Just with a single button. So that fucking chest we saw in that place there, that's our home, by the way. You have absolutely no need to interact with it. But yeah. This is our equipment section. So our equipment section is entirely standard. Everything we have here, as you would expect, because we haven't actually acquired any armor so far, is what you have at the start of the game. We've got copper sword, as you can see. Now when it says E, it means equipped. So this is our equipped sword. You can see E leather shield, E wayfarer's clothes. It's not like part of the name, it just means that it's the equipped thing. Our shield is leather shield. I don't know if you can see, but the stitching in the leather almost divides it into quarters. That will reflect how it actually breaks. And most shields break in quarters like that, I think. Wayfarer's clothes. Very blue. We're not blue. That's one thing that I don't quite understand. You get this thing here, and it's all blue. There's no red in there at all. But every image that you see of our character, as he is, he's not wearing anything blue. It's quite confusing. Anyway, leather hat. You can see hardwood headwear has better defense, so we will equip it. It was included in our lucky bag, so we may as well add it to our person. The reality is that nothing that we equip here, except for our sword and shield, is actually going to be visually shown to us in the game. So when it comes to armor, headgear, and accessories, functionality should be that is the only thing you need to worry about. You don't need to worry about how it looks at all, because you're not going to be able to see it. Just to be very clear. Alright, we've got a Band of Bravery. This increases our defense by 2, and it also doubles Master Stroke Gauge's speed. So when it says when in a pinch, I think this will actually increase your Master Stroke Gauge when you're hit, not just when you're hitting enemies. I think that's what that means. Doubles Master Stroke Gauge's speed when in the pinch. I could actually be wrong about that. Maybe it just doubles... Maybe when in a pinch means nothing. Maybe that's just a completely unnecessary and unhelpful addition to the explanation. Like flavor text rather than an actual description of what it does. I think perhaps it will just mean that you get 2% per hit rather than 1% per hit. That's probably what it is. In a pinch sounds like low health. This is the thing, when you see that, you think it means more than it actually does, but it doesn't. It actually doesn't. I seem to remember that this band, this accessory, just gives you double at all times. Kind of crazy. Oh, this guy's doing squats. Did you see that? No. I don't want to interrupt you, sir. You are welcome to go back to your... I don't know, your routine or whatever it is that you do. What about this guy? Does this guy do squats, do you suspect? He's got very wide eyes. Ah, you're back, Link, and you look just like... Sorry, let me reread that. And you look just that little bit more grown up. You're the spitting image of your father when you're wielding that sword, you know? That's a very nice thing to say. Let's go back to the castle. There are more things for me to show in the village, but... or the city, whatever you want to say. But far be it from me to introduce you to all of the wonders of this city in one go. That would be just not the done thing. Hello. Greetings, Link. I hear you defeated Sir Worthington. I don't think he's really a person. He just looks like a suit of armor that just assembles itself to do battle. That's no mean feat, I must admit. No, okay. I'm not going to talk to that guy. I don't even know who that guy is. He's basically the twin of the main guard. Look, he is literally the twin of that person. Welcome to the castle, Link. The minister's waiting for you in the throne room. So if you are lost, if you're not entirely sure where you should be going, you should be proceeding through these doors. And then you speak to Minister Misericord, tickety-boo.
an exemplary demonstration of the very finest execution of what can only be described as well done.
Yes.
Custom dictates that Her Majesty the Queen would now
Her Majesty
congratulate
the
you.
Queen.
But as you will see, she is elsewhere at present.
Yes.
Accordingly, I have been composing a short speech
Here we go.
recognition of your admirable return from the walk.
Can I just assure you, it is as bad as it sounds like it's going to be. If you have a soft pillow just within arm's reach, please get it.
You were stonking. You now rank amongst Avalonia's most valued knights. Yes, you have taken your place as one of the worthy protectors of our great realm. I don't suppose, if I may be so bold as to inquire...
He's done with his speech. I thought it went on for longer than that, I really do.
Andalus?
No, I don't know the whereabouts of Prince Andalus, and I will apprise you of the reason as to why I don't know where Andalus is. It is indeed because I was not in the city at the time when Andalus was going about his business. And as a result, I cannot be expected to know precisely where Andalus is at this time.
He was sent into something of a flap by Her Majesty's abrupt departure.
Yes, I think previously the Queen was here, just not accepting an audience, but now the Queen has actually, as I seem to recall, absconded. That is the word that was used. She has absconded without a servant in attendance.
Kindly to being told he was not to
He's
accompany
looking
her.
for his mum as usual.
He is a
Yes,
fine young man.
that is precisely what
When
he's
it
doing.
comes to his mother, he can be somewhat willful.
That's one way of putting it. He's a fine young man, but when it comes to his mother, he can be somewhat willful.
I must confess that this whole sorry business has left me feeling really rather wobbly.
You didn't need to take that long to tell me how you felt. You really didn't. Just speak in an unreserved way. Just say how you... Just let it all tumble out of your mouth. Don't wait before speaking, for Christ's sake. Anyway, that was our interaction with Minister Misericord again. Jesus. Okay, so I actually don't completely remember where to go now. I think we just head back down here and then figure out what Anlas is doing somehow. I think we go back into our room, don't we? Yeah, I think we go back into our room. How do I remember that? I've got no bloody idea. It's quite amazing what you remember after so much time. Before I go there, however, I will make my way to the armory. That is another... Well, actually, not just the armory, but also where you can purchase equipment. So... I don't really know how to interpret this, so I don't know if this is that other guy's twin, or if, canonically speaking, he is here at the time that we visit this location, but then when we go to that other location, he is at the stall. I don't know how that works. I'm not going to overthink it, but I will talk to him. I saw Prince Anlas go by just now. I'm not going to do his accent. Okay, there would have been a time when I did his accent. I think in my 2015 Let's Play I did a rather culturally insensitive accent for this guy, but we've moved on since then, haven't we? It's 2024. He had a pretty determined look on his face, I can tell you. I've seen that face on him before. It usually means he's up to something. Well, Okay, you've gone and made several assessments of Prince Atlas based on your very brief interaction, or very brief sighting of him. That's good for you. We've got some lady who looks rather reminiscent of an uncircumcised penis. She also refers to me as her lover, which I just want to put on the record. I am not that. But anyway, hello, my lover. Welcome to the armor shop. What can I do for you then? Well, I'd like to buy at this stage. We've got an iron shield. That would be an upgrade from what we have. We've got what we already have. We've got this, which we already have. Everything here we already have except for the thing on the far left and the thing on the far right. Leather armor is an improvement on what we have, and we can actually purchase it with our current gold. Look, I don't really need the iron shield. I mean, we might be able to sell things. I don't know what we can sell. She's now calling me Pumpkin. Quite frankly, she's definitely coming on to me. I don't know about you, but that's how it feels to me. Anything that we don't really want to use anymore can possibly be sold as well, but how about we just get an upgrade for our armor to start with? Is it worth getting? It's only 250 gold, so why not? Yes, I'll get a suit of leather armor, thank you so much. She's now inviting me to get changed in front of her, which is, you know, bordering upon sexual harassment, but that's alright. She has, like, really small beady eyes, so she probably can't see what's going on. Alright, Gov. I said I wouldn't do this again, but I'm going to.
How's tricks? I expect you know I'm in the business of selling weapons, but I bet you didn't know I was also into modifying them. See, there's some weapons what can be tempered, to make them into even more stronger and better ones. If you can find the right geezer to tighten them up for you, that is. What? Is he saying in it, or is he saying something else? These things don't come free, of course. You need to find some special tempering materials and save up a bit of dosh first. But the results can be blinding, I'm telling you. And not only does your weapon get stronger, but you get master strokes and all. Result.
It just goes on and on. I can't do that for that long. I really can't, I must confess. Oh, he's saying hint, hint. Okay. I'm glad you picked up on that. I bloody well didn't. Okay. No, I don't intend to buy that, but let's see what's required for tempering our sword. Now, temper is where you upgrade what you already have. So let's go to tempering. What is needed? Probably a whole lot more gold than I already have. I probably shouldn't have expended what I had on fucking armor. I really am stupid, aren't I? I need to get some more gold. I'll figure out how to do that in a moment. I unfortunately need to visit the bathroom again. I shouldn't have guzzled down so much water before going live, but anyway, these are the things that happen as a result. I'll be back momentarily, and then hopefully we can figure out what to do with our gold situation. I'm actually now regretting buying that armor. Doomling's gone potty. Yeah, I'm definitely potty. More like boggy. Going to the bog every second moment. Water is an harsh mistress. Yes, we all require it, but the need to expel it can be somewhat prohibitive, especially when trying to do a recording. So this sword here, it has to be said, I probably could have made this. I can't really remember how much gold I had. It was 400 and something, wasn't it? I have little doubt that I could have raised that money without much difficulty. I probably could have sold that headpiece, for example. So I got a new helmet, put that thing on. If I had sold the old helmet, I probably would have been able to raise enough gold to upgrade this thing, because I do have the materials that are required to forge it. Monster bone and iron ore. You wouldn't have these materials if you had gotten different rewards from the quest. So let's say if your performance was a B rank or a C rank, you probably wouldn't have this. But my performance was an A rank. It was rated as an A rank, so therefore I got A rank rewards, which actually would have given me the opportunity to make this sword before we went to the next location. What I'm going to do instead is, I guess, use this copper sword. It doesn't have a very inspiring name, does it? Copper sword. Well, we are going to languish in suboptimal circumstances. I don't think I do the accent that well, Peaberry, but I guess it could be worse. It could technically be worse.
Done already, lad. So, how did it go? You reported back to Her Majesty, I hope. No, she wasn't at the castle. Then where's she gone?
Do you think I know? You've been at the pub all day. I've been doing the Walk of the Worthy. Who do you think has the information here? Certainly not me. You think I was going to get anything out of Misericord?
Who's that banging on the door at tea time? Hey, maybe it's that lass I was getting to know better at the pub last night.
Yeah, good timing, mate. Are you going to snog her as well while I'm here, having my birthday dinner?
Prince Anless.
There's a bed free, mate. Just use it. Fucking hell, don't hold back. It is I, Prince Anless.
Forgive the intrusion, but I must ask a favor of you.
By the way, in story terms, I don't believe we ever find out what happened to our mother. Our mother is just not here. I suspect that maybe she was out of the picture before I have any memories of her, because maybe Claymore is a bit of a wayward soul who involved himself with another woman. That's the impression I have. I could be entirely wrong. Maybe that's mischaracterizing Claymore. I don't know, but yeah, there's probably something like that.
What an unexpected pleasure. Good to see you looking well, lad.
I am far from well, sir. I fear for Mama.
Mama.
She has been behaving most uncharacteristically of late. Were her aloofness limited to her public demeanor, I should not be so troubled. But she is as a stranger to her own son. Her very flesh and blood.
My boy here was just telling me how she wasn't at the castle when he came back from the walk.
Quite so.
Oh, that was an opportunity for you to see that like, our character was not at all garbed in anything blue. Because you will recall, we apparently have, what, wayfarers something? Basically, full blue garments. You didn't see any of that in that scene, so yeah, never be concerned about what you may or may not be dressed in on a visual level. It's not relevant at all. just focus on the defense. Focus on the stats. Function over form, because form is not a factor in this case. That's just how this game is.
Galentine? There's a hot spring there that caps them all, I hear.
You can tell those Japanese talking about hot springs.
What if Mama is
Onsen. Claymore is talking awfully inappropriately to someone of our age. Well, there you go. No, remember, we're a man now, Peaberry. We've completed the Walk of the Worthy. We're age 16. He's speaking to us as a man. He's treating us as a mature person. Yeah, what if Mama is unwell? Sorry about knocking my glass on the diaphragm. I suspect that would have been a nice sound, but anyway.
Such clandestine behavior is most perturbing.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that gives me, like, shivers up my spine. I absolutely love that phrasing. She absconded with barely a manservant in attendance. Such clandestine behavior is most perturbing. Oh, I wouldn't want to have you labour under this perturbation for much longer, Sir Anlas. Allow us to assist you.
To pursue her, which brings me to the favour I wish to ask. Will you escort me?
Most certainly.
I see. So that's what you're after. But didn't you just say Her Majesty left in secret?
Indeed.
Well, she's not daft, lad. She has her reasons, I'm sure. She might not take kindly to being stalked.
That's a good choice of words. Stalked. She's behaving unusually, and her son is rather obsessively attached to her, so... Okay, maybe it is stalking, but anyway...
You mean to say you refuse me?
I like how he takes no offence whatsoever to the use of the word stalked.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it matters how far back you turn the clock. I think the word stalk has always had a negative connotation, surely.
And I cannot persuade you to reconsider.
That's how it works, Peaberry.
No, I'm afraid you can't.
Very well. In that case, I shall seek assistance elsewhere. Good day to you.
Isn't there an upturned bottle under that bed? I think there's a bottle just lying on the ground. This is one thing you need to understand, Peaberry. I think this guy's an alcoholic. I think he just goes to the pub all day and probably comes back with a... Yeah, there's a fucking... Like, there's not just one, but there's 2 bottles on the ground at the foot of his bed. This is a man after my own heart.
I don't know. That lad's always been a sight too worried about his mum, if you ask me.
Yes.
I remember it landing him in trouble before now. Still, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit worried myself this time. I tell you what, why don't you give the prince a hand, eh, lad? You're a man now. I can rely on you, right?
You can rely on me, but that doesn't mean that you can then, defer your responsibilities onto me. I mean, I suppose it's not a responsibility, but...
He won't give up now the idea's in his head. But we can't let him go to Galentine alone. It's too dangerous.
Like, I don't get it, man. Are you, like, requesting something of me? Are you suggesting that Anlas has made a request of you and then you're going to defer responsibility to your son because he's a man? Like, what are you saying here? Like, are you saying to me, hey, son, do you want to help Anlas out? Or are you saying, hey, son, you're a man now. Get out there and help this guy. Quick, smart, get your ass out of this room right now. You have your dinner and you fucking help this guy immediately. Anyway. I think this request was a little bit more acceptable than what you've just detailed, Peaberry, but anyway. Here we go. Oh no, he's so downtrodden. Just look at him and his brilliant stockings. Jesus, look at this business.
it's you. I hardly need mention how downcast I am about your father's
Yes,
answer.
you are notably lugubrious.
Whoever I find to assist me now.
Whomever shall give you a helping hand, I
But of course.
can't scarcely imagine.
Claymore hardly precludes my asking you.
Quite right.
Will you accompany me to Galentine Glades?
I don't know what happens if I say no, but I have no interest in saying no, quite frankly.
Thank you. Knowing I shall have you by my side raises my spirits no end.
I'm 16,
I'm informed that monsters abide in Galentine.
and I've only just
Falls to you
been
to see me safely
accepted
past them.
as a man. I've always found this to be almost incompatibly cheesy with this game. Just that sound that happened, like, okay, he's joined my party, I get it, but I remember distinctly the first time that I experienced that, I was like, okay, they've carried this over from earlier games. It just does not gel with this. It's cute and quite funny, but it definitely does not align with this kind of game. Like, I was about to say this kind of modern game, but it's not modern anymore. This is now, you know, however many years
When you
old.
have made ready, we shall
16 years
convene
old.
again here prior to departing.
Okay, well, what I will do is actually make use of the church. Now, the church is something that we had mentioned to us before. It is a place where we can actually save the game. Now, the church, they don't have a cross and they don't quite have a menorah, or they've got the fucking, I don't even know what that is. Do you know, like, the Judas Priest cross? Yeah, the Judas Priest cross. There it is. The fucking angel of retribution's gonna come down, you know, with his shining silver armor, riding that serpentine bike with saws for wheels. That's what's going on here. I'm sure that symbol originates from somewhere else, but as far as I'm concerned, it's the Judas Priest cross. I'm going down here because I think I can get some free stuff. Oh, hello. Small nun with a gigantic cross. Do you remember Fleurette? She used to be a member of the Sisterhood here. No? Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jesus. I mean, you would have thought that I had just informed her that her parents were dead. Look, I have not encountered Fleurette. Oh, well, I suppose it must be nigh on 5 years since she was last here. And you were, like, in the womb at that time. Surely, like, what the fuck is... How old is this girl? Anyway. Nigh on 5 years. Yeah, you were 3. What is going on? I'm rushing into darkness. Okay, now I'm being allowed to leave. What is going on? Oh, what's going on? Are you... Oh, he's had a skinful. Look at him. Look at him. Yeah, he's got a bottle and he can't stand up straight. Oh. This is where I'm confused, okay? Is this the armor? Like the guy from the armory? Or is this just someone who looks exactly like him? I just don't know. I don't know how to treat it. I understand that maybe in terms of the story they're trying to say that he's not going to be there all the time. But it makes sense for him to be there whenever we need him to be there. Like on a gameplay perspective. Or from a gameplay perspective. So I get that. So that's one way to put it, Peter. But I think that I have a feeling that it is the guy from the armory. And he's just here at the moment. Core blimey! You shouldn't go creeping up on a bloke like that. That shot could have had me, could have had me flying over the edge. Does he have anything else to say? No. So, I mean, he sounded like a drunk when he was speaking. It turns out he is one. Look at him. He's even got support. He's got that thing to stand next to. I mean, don't stand on the edge of a fucking sheer drop if you can't even stand up straight. I don't care how drunk you are. You can be blackout drunk and still have, like, a sense of self-preservation. It is like a thing that's deeply ingrained in human beings, so maybe don't stand on the edge. Quite frankly, if you fall, I'm happy to say that it's a result of natural selection, no matter how much you've had to drink. Wayward sheep of the great shepherdess, welcome to this house of the goddess. I find this to be quite unpalatable. Wayward sheep of the great shepherdess. Just shut the fuck up and give me services. This is where things get quite interesting. So confession is saving your game. Divination, I think, might be more aligned with its meaning. I think that might tell you where to go. Let's find out. Oh no, yeah, that's showing you how much experience is needed for the next level. I thought that was literally telling you what your next objective was. Okay, well, that's the meaning of divination in that case. Confession is saving the game. Please declare both your sins and high achievements before the great and benevolent goddess. Would you permit me to record your works in an adventure log? Here we go. We haven't leveled up since the last save because we saved the game at the end of Caliburn Cave. I do plan on continuing my adventure, thank you very much. Oh, yeah. No, there's a... when you said his mask is pink... Hey, AJ. There's actually a, there's the female version of what we just saw. I think you all need to see the female version. Hold on, this is very important. Yeah! Oh, that's hot. Look at that. Remember that meme where you stroke Machoke's groin? Yeah. I feel the temptation in this case. But, I have reason to suspect that this is not an actual woman, because, you know, we wouldn't be seeing these. So, this is actually just a very muscular man with a pink helmet on. Very good. Yeah, you can tell. All those feminine characteristics make it clear that that's a woman, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. I think we now want to speak to Anas. Hello. My preparations are complete. I really don't need to make much preparation. I think we now just go to the exit gate. So, you've got a twin just up there, by the way.
Are you?
Yes.
Well, I'd better hurry up and open the gates then, hadn't I?
Just do it. You don't need to announce it. You only need to hit the, like, presumably flip a latch and it just opens on its own. Pretty easy job, don't you think?
Won't you? Keep the prince out of harm's way.
Don't you think this guy would just be bored shitless? He doesn't even get to open the gate on his own. Jesus.
Come, we must make haste. We can ill afford to tarry if we are to have
Come,
no hope of finding Mother.
Says Amleth. Yes, we wouldn't want to tarry. Certainly not. Alright, we're going to get the map again. So Caliburn Cave is where we came from. We're given an indication as to what rewards we get for each rank. So we get iron ore ×1 for rank A, that was before. So we would have acquired the monster bones that we needed for the sword, but we wouldn't have gotten the iron ore. So I think it was 2 monster bone, 1 iron ore that was needed for the sword. If we had gotten rank B, for example, we wouldn't have had what we needed for the sword. But, yeah, and we would have gotten a Thunderball if we had S ranked that. A Thunderball, not so useful this time. Yeah, as soon as you said pink mask, AJ, I immediately thought of that person. P-Berry, this will be another 40 minutes or so. I will allow you to make your decision as to whether or not you go to bed. Apparently the churches repel monsters according to the law of Dragon Quest, so there may not be a need for guards. Well, do you know what, AJ? Maybe the guards are not so much to protect the citizens from monsters. Maybe they're like public order officials, you know, people who ensure that there is maintenance of public order. Companions' actions. Companions help you out with their spells and abilities according to how their tactics are set. You can change their tactics to suit the situation by selecting change tactics in the menu. So this just relates to when you've got another person in your party. Keep in mind that when you're progressing through an area, you're only going to be getting that first person perspective. You won't be able to see the other person behind you. You can actually... well, anyway, that's what they're describing there. I'm going to give you a pretty clear lowdown on what to... excuse me. I'll give you a pretty clear idea of what to do with a companion once we get past this point. When you fall in battle, even if your companion is still alive, your team will be defeated if you fall in battle, and you will both be transported back to town. Companion spells and abilities. Companions will use their spells and abilities automatically, but if you want to order them to use one directly, simply select spells and abilities. You will always have the option to pretty much utilize a companion with that spells and abilities button whenever you want. They will attack automatically, but you can also set them to follow orders. Follow orders means they will do nothing unless you use that spells and abilities button. I think I prefer it that way. During battle, you can press left or right on the D-pad to quickly access your companion's spells and abilities. Cool. So, spells and abilities, heal and sizz. Previously, we wouldn't have had anything appearing in this part of the menu because we didn't have a companion and we cannot actually use spells and abilities. Spells and abilities is unique to companions because we are never actually going to have that. Our abilities are Master Stroke. That's pretty much the extent to what our character can do. Your companion is the one that will have access to spells and abilities. So there you have it. Catch you later, P-Berry. Thanks for joining. Ethan's back. Just in time for Galentine Glades. So we can look at the attributes of our characters here as well. So, Anlas is level 3. We are level 6. I suppose Anlas doesn't have as much experience in the field. He may not miss a day of training, but he hasn't gone and grappled with poisonous slimes like I have, so... Yes, you can see his spells and abilities as well. His equipment is aluminium foil. Why would you refer to a sword as aluminium foil? Do you think that's the name of his sword? Like, actually, he decided that his sword would be called aluminium foil. I'll tell you what I think of when you say aluminium foil. I think of cooking. I think of, like, you know, putting it on a tray. Like, that's a terrible name for a sword. Frilly shirt, tricorn. He doesn't have a tricorn hat? Have any of you seen this guy wear a tricorn hat? Do you think he wears a tricorn, canonically, and it's just not shown to us? Silk ruff. So a ruff is what... It's this here. So what he has here is a ruff. It's the old 18th century fashion, having a ruff. Probably also goes into the 19th century, but a tricorn hat? A tricorn. I've never seen this guy wear a tricorn. To be extremely clear with all of you. He's wearing it in spirit, okay. If I continue attacking things that have already fallen, it's because I want to get my hit chain up. I am completely... The Prince returns! Yes, so this is one feature of having a companion. They sometimes jump in front of you and come out with a catchphrase as you're progressing through the area. Anyway, we can upturn this rock and obtain another antidotal herb. That's quite nice. Let's do it again. Do it again! Anyway, yes, if you see me continuously attacking things, it's, whoa! That was a very effective, thrust that I performed there. Ooh, I hate this shit. I always get hit when that happens. I'm really oh.
Curses!
I thought that I had set a focal point, but actually had not. That resulted not only in me being hit twice, which means that that's going to negatively affect my guard accuracy. I also caused that enemy to flee, so definitely not getting an X rank. I think we've definitely ruled out that possibility based on my performance up until this point, but maybe I can still get an S. Let's see what we can do. I'm doing really bad. I'm doing really bad. Oh, crazy guy. He's gonna spurt things on me. There will be some opportunities to get my hit chain up. I'm just a little bit worried about my accuracy. Hold on, let me go back. Let me get that rock. Did you delete that, Ethan? Because P-Berry's gone now, I think. I guess that was a bot message. Yes, AJ. So I demonstrated that. Oh, well. No, that also charges Master Stroke as well. I guess, I see why you mentioned that. That was something that I was aware of, but I really don't make use of Master Strokes except in boss fights. Like, I really am not concerned about the charge of my Master Stroke. I kind of used it in the previous area just to demonstrate it, but I find the game to be easy enough, just generally, to not even benefit from a Master Stroke except in a boss fight, just to reduce the amount of time that I'm going to spend fighting a boss. So I tend to just save it for the boss anyway. Like, almost every single boss confrontation that I do will open immediately with a Master Stroke because I just leave it until the boss. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about maximizing my Master Stroke gauge boosting, but yeah, definitely for my hit gauge, I will attack enemies that are on the ground in the process of dying. So Diminish Yield, we've basically been given a tutorial of what's going to happen before it happens. So Diminish Yield is a spell that certain enemies can cast. I think specifically the green flying bats. Now, green flying bats, if you get hit with Diminish Yield, it'll make your shield really tiny. It's not that big of a deal. And it's only going to happen for that specific confrontation as well. It's not going to last for a set period of time that may extend into another confrontation. It's only for that particular interaction with the enemies, so yeah, it's not a big deal at all. You can actually get spells called Magna Shield. There is a spell called Magna Shield which Anlus can actually cast, I believe, when you level him up, which makes your shield bigger. But yeah, anyway. As long as you... Oh, never mind. My accuracy is quite shit, actually. Gives me the opportunity to demonstrate Diminish Yield anyway. The reason why I dealt 1 damage to that bat was because he was beginning an attack. If you attack an enemy that is in the process of attacking you at the same time, it will have increased defense. You can see Anlus just did a ranged attack. It's called Sizz. It's basically a fire attack. So if I go to change tactics, you can see I've got Fight Wisely, Follow Orders, Focus on Healing, Show No Mercy. Now, all of these are fairly descriptive. Fight Wisely means he's healing and also dealing damage. Follow Orders means he will not do anything unless I actually use the spell. Focus on healing means he will automatically heal me. And then Show No Mercy means just fucking go nuts. Use their strongest attacks regardless of MP consumption. I'm going to hit Follow Orders, and just remember that I have Unless as an option, because he's a companion. Oh, you're still alive. Goodbye. Oh, I'm messing up my own hit combo here. Quite ridiculously. Ooh. Yeah, I'm playing so poorly that I'm no longer that attached to good performance. I think I think Caliburn Cave may have been the only example of me really giving a shit when it comes to performance. I mean, I will always try to get the best hit combo that I can get, but already my accuracy here is going to be considerably worse than it was in Caliburn Cave. If you get hit with that, you will get poisoned. It's not the end of the world if you do get hit with it, but yeah.
The prince returns.
Particularly because I have Antidotal Herb. Antidotal Herb will immediately remove poison. This here, Replenish Shield Powder, I don't know why they got a fucking skull on it, that's a little bit morbid, isn't it? But that will make it so that my shield, if it has had its durability diminished, it will be recovered immediately. This is a rock that I can break. The rock that we encountered in Caliburn Cave, but not completely encountered, like I didn't actually go up to it and get told that I couldn't break it. But I told you that that's what would happen if we went there. That requires Boulder Dasher in order to get it. Now, Boulder Dasher is... Do you remember when we got a mini medal before? We got it in the grass in Caliburn. Now, that mini medal is something that can be used as currency with a certain vendor. That particular vendor will give us access to the Boulder Dasher ability. And that vendor will only accept mini medals as currency. I'm attacking that jellyfish because they can actually heal the enemies that you're fighting. So the problem with jellyfish, you can see it right here. He's just healed something. I don't know what the fuck he healed there, but I'm attacking the jellyfish with priority for that reason. Alright, we've hit 70. I think that's higher than what we got in Caliburn Cave. Let's try to hold on to our hit chain as best we can. I'll try to play more carefully going forward. We've got a lump of iron ore, not too bad. So obviously you can go through areas multiple times. That's an option available to you, but a chest will not be replenished when you go through a second time. Chests are one time only. No fucking way I'm gonna get a diagonal hit. Doesn't matter how long I play this game, I'm never gonna get that right. Never, never, never. Well, that was a little bit dangerous to attack when I did. Oh, I fucking missed it! So that was like 82 hits, something like that. I don't think I'm going to surpass that number, based on how far we've gone. I think we go left. There is a time that we do return to Galentine Glades, and I think the first time we go left, the second time we go right. I believe I'm correct in saying that. If I see a fucking metal slime, that's it. Master Stroke time. Oh.
For Avalonia and for victory.
Yeah, I think the metal slimes only appear when you've returned to a location. If you didn't notice, there was only one guy to mount a slime, but there were two slimes, and then the slime that wasn't chosen to be mounted had to leave the area rather with a rather disconsolate demeanor. Nope, lost my hit chain again.
For Avalonia and for victory!
Looked like I clicked Armless himself there. Apparently Ethan and I need to play Dragon Quest Builders 2 together. I don't know what that is at all, but apparently we need to do that. We may be able to. Maybe a good idea. I want to hit you before you run away. Fucker! Armless has leveled up. I really want to hit you before you run away. I don't want you to mess up my final score. I've already sort of given up on getting a better hit chain than 80-something hits. So... really, other... Fucker. You're messing with my guard accuracy as well by hitting me successfully like that. Shit. It's entirely possible that I will get another A rank. Makes me quite sad to admit that, but... I'm getting quite close to the boss confrontation area. Oh, he caused me to fuck up my hit chain. Guaranteed, if I had maintained it up until this point, that would have been the moment that I lost it. Would have liked to have managed about 100 and something, but can't have everything. Here we go. This is the boss confrontation area.
Look, I see a break in the undergrowth. And sunlight. There's a glade just ahead. Mother walked along this same path, but recently. I'm almost sure of it.
What, can you smell her? Creep.
What is that rumbling?
I don't know either. Like, I don't know how how can something falling through the air cause rumbling? That's what I want to know. Doesn't make any sense.
My garden. Trespassers will be persecuted.
Yeah.
Oh,
Briquet.
the
Briquet.
organic female escaped. You will not.
Well, how did the organic female escape? How is that possible?
The beast makes its threats in earnest. Ready your sword, comrade. On guard.
Yeah. Boss time. He starts off immediately with a punch.
Scrutinize the enemy carefully.
I'm gonna do Mighty Strike on you. Okay. Not a huge amount of damage, but better than nothing. As I say, I would have had the opportunity to upgrade my sword had I been a little cleverer with my use of gold. I actually don't even know if I ended up equipping that armor that I bought in the end. It's a rather embarrassing thing to admit. He's just about dead. You can see that my shield is really having a rough time. There we go. And the death blow. Okay. My shield is not doing well. I got a lump of iron ore. Bravo! Indeed. What have we got? Fucking A rank, I'm almost certain of it. Oh, it's actually better than, like, in terms of score, it's better than before. I got an S rank that time. Maybe because Caliburn Cave is so easy, the strictures on receiving a decent rank are greater. It's a little bit more exacting than in this case. So, yeah, the clear time gave us a decent score. What really would have been the... Look, the accuracy is shit, and the guard accuracy, despite being better than last time, still not good at all. We got a bonus, 2,000, that's obviously for our accuracy being over 80%. Overall, not amazing, but we got an S rank at least. We took ourselves to Knight Errant, with a renown of 150. Link's title changes from Worthy Apprentice to Skillful Squire, and then to Knight Errant. I actually missed that message before, had something to do with our master strokes. Link's title changes, yes. Link's resistance to something. I should be reading this information, quite frankly, but I'm missing it, rather foolishly. Guard accuracy over 80% has given us an additional bonus, so we had 10,000 points last time. We've got 12,000 this time, so we've actually managed to get 1,000 points in an additional bonus, courtesy of our better guard accuracy on this occasion, and we've also managed to get an additional 1,000 points due to a balance of these things being better performed than last time. So that seems to be what's made the difference. It's not that the requirements for a good rank were more exacting, it's that we actually performed a little bit better this time, based on the parameters that are distributing the ranks, etc., blah blah blah.
Praise be to the goddess. The fiend is defeated at last. Come, we must make haste.
Very well.
Look, a hut. Someone surely resides here.
Surely? How can you know for certain? What indications are there that this is an inhabited hut, Mr.
We
Arnold?
must approach with quick, hide yourself.
Whoa! The door's opening. It's a female Unless. Creepy mask.
Mama!
Mama! Based on that rather ridiculous hat that she was wearing, I'd say this is probably set in the 1200s, 1300s, something like that.
Did you see her mask? She has taken to wearing it of late.
Yes, when I turn around, I also do this with my arm.
But she will not.
It's quite
let you know
natural.
Why? It is a mystery, even to me. What business could have possibly brought Mother to this lowly lodging? Come, we must make our presence known.
Lowly lodging? I think it's quite endearing. I think I quite like it.
Who are you?
Oh. Mamma mia.
Please, be not afeard. We mean you no harm.
Yeah, I mean something quite different to
We
harm
merely wish to inquire as to the
in
affairs
relation
of
to
your
you,
scarce departed
well-dressed
visitor.
female.
What brought her to your shack, lady?
Who says it's her shack? Well, I suppose it is her
none
shack.
of your concern.
Forgive me, lady. I have not
I'm
yet
France.
introduced
I'm from
myself.
France. I
Anders,
speak French.
Prince of Avalonia, at your service.
Ah, oui. Yes, I had in my mind that I had seen you before. My name is Fleurette. Enchantée.
Just to be clear, I don't believe this voice actress is actually French. I believe it is an accent that is being put on. Because it sounds overacted, right? It's not a genuine French accent. I wish that it was, because it would make Fleurette a much better character, but anyway.
That bijou, your earring, it is the work of the great jeweler Ricasso.
I could be wrong, but yeah.
It is. A present from Mama, in fact.
Hmm.
But that is by the by. I command you to tell me why my mother was here.
Yes, I'm wearing an earring that is, was given to me by the Queen. It is a rather nice earring, as you would expect.
My brother, he was one of the
What a
heroes
weird
of the
dude.
Cyphers. Ever
How
since
dare
then,
you?
He is suffering from a malady.
Unless is great.
I tried to help him, but my magic was useless.
Honestly, aside from the massive black feathers in her hair, she's looking real 80s when it comes to this hairstyle.
Left me here alone.
There's a lot going on
I
there.
don't know where he is gone.
Big hair.
Forgive me, good lady, but I believe you misheard me. I inquired of my mother, not your brother. You say your brother battled the Deathbringer? Then you are the sister of Araval. Araval was one of those who fought alongside my late father against Xiphos.
I managed to narrow it down because he was also extremely French.
If you know this, then I believe I can tell you everything. Her Majesty came to meet my brother. She was on her way to the healing hot spring. But when I told to her that my brother was not here, it did not seem to surprise her.
And? Is there nothing more you can tell us? Nothing unusual you noticed about her? Did she look well?
Well, oui. Though that hideous mask made it hard to tell. Who is the designer? Someone famous?
That is a question I should like to ask my mother. She took to wearing it without a word of explanation.
So it was not a famous designer's caprice? But I was sure I recognized it.
We'll find out
In summary,
why she recognized
we
it.
know little more about my
Later.
mother's intentions. What we do know is that
Foreshadowing.
she was on her way to a hot spring famous for its healing properties. Then there can be no doubt. Mama is unwell.
Oh, really? I think we had already established that, but no, she's very much unwell, and her name is also Mama.
I must return to the castle at once and attend to her.
Has she even gone back to the castle? Have we established that she's gone back there? Did I miss something?
Forgive me, but I dare not tarry. Good day.
What if she wants to have a little journey through the woods? Maybe she wants to live in the shade of a tree for a while. Oh, she remembered.
I had seen the mask before. I assumed it must be because it was a work of a famous designer, but no. It is the mask I once saw when I was lost in the mountains. At Arondite Heights, I believe.
Arondite Heights.
I was just a young girl. I remember.
What are you, American? They can't pronounce the letter H either.
I do not have a good feeling about this. Why would the queen wear such a mask? It was no coincidence that she was not surprised when I told her my brother had vanished. She knows something. Of that I am sure. I must meet with her again. I will go to the castle, and I will demand from her the truth.
Yes, good idea. If you made any demands of me, I'm happy to confess I would be quite amenable. Anyway. Chapter 3, The Mask.
Welcome back. Wasn't Prince
Look at his
Alice
eyes.
when you left?
He's He's quite perturbed. Just look at him.
Oh, yes. Now I remember. He came back on his own a while ago. In a terrible hurry, he was. And guess who else is back in town?
So you have the memory of a goldfish.
We haven't seen her
Understood.
in ages.
Very nice. Imagine, like, I come here and he's like, "What? Weren't you traveling with Prince Anless?" "Oh yeah, that's right. I saw Prince Anless come through in a hurry." Like, as if you wouldn't fucking remember that. As if that were not the most prominent memory in your mind when you saw me. I think this person might have a serious deficiency of the mind. Anyway. That is all for my live stream today. I hope that you all enjoyed. I don't know how long I've been live for. 2 hours and 50 minutes, almost 3 hours. I think we've done a pretty good job. We've just saved the game. That is a good point for me to finish up on. When I return to Dragon Quest Swords, I will be pretty much in this position, so that I may continue. And I hope you all enjoyed the live stream. You will have noticed that the Twitch channel, or perhaps you haven't even noticed, the Twitch channel has a different name now. That is because of the Monster Hunter content, so all of the Monster Hunter stuff is going to be under a different name, but I would not have dreamed of making a new Twitch for the Monster Hunter stuff, so I'm just streaming on a rebranded Twitch account, effectively. But I shall bid you all farewell for now, and I do thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time that I am recording Dragon Quest, Swords specifically, or anything else that you would like to see me record live. I'll bid you farewell for now, and goodbye.